trying to get into something tonight?
Sean, where?
I don't even know. Probably
Why do they talk like that?
I have no idea.
How did we even get here?
I can tell you how we got here. Just have to follow me. Nowadays, teenagers wear very in-trend clothing like juicy jackets, missing jeans. They're very into appearances and they dress quite casual. In Petaluma, a lot of teenagers like to go and watch movies, which do movie theaters, and they spend not as much time downtown as they have in previous decades. They spend a lot of time at home. But recreational activities are still very popular amongst teenagers. As you can see, teenagers in the 90s dressed comfortably and they wanted to be really in trend, so they wore a lot of name brand clothing. Also, teenagers spent a lot of time.
the end of the year. Prepare yourself.
Very well.
Prepare yourself.
They wanted to prepare themselves for the 1900s to 2000 Y2K transformation of millenniums. So they were very concerned about that. Awareness about HIV, AIDS, teen pregnancy, cancer, and homosexuality became more prominent in youth. And that's all I say about that. So in the 80s, a lot of teens began to enjoy exercising and they were often promoted to exercise. So they wore a lot of fitness-related clothing and leg warmers, which is where the stereotype about leg warmers comes about. And in the media, HIV and AIDS were becoming more prominent and they were more aware about the problems they had with them.
Who got smacked? No one got smacked?
No,
Oh, you
sorry.
don't want to play with your nose?
No.
Oh, alright then.
Alright, have a good day.
Super.
Also, a lot of teenagers in the 80s had drug addiction problems to drugs such as cocaine and heroin.
Here we are at the Ballshaw Bridge, and it was made in 1989, and it connected the east and the west side so that teenagers were able to interact with each other more freely.
It was named after City Council member John Balshaw. During the 1970s, clothing became increasingly more unisex. Girls were allowed to wear jeans, or not allowed to, but it became a lot more socially acceptable for them to wear pants and jeans. Denim became increasingly popular, and John Travolta became a large fashion icon for young boys during this time. Teenagers began to worry more about the future and had extremely pessimistic views because it was a lot harder for them to get jobs.
Here we are in this empty lot where the movie American Graffiti was filmed during the 70s, which used to be where the Cosmopolitan Hotel was.
And this particular lot has inspired an annual car show to be held every single year with demonstrations about the particular part of the film that was filmed here. Here we are in front of the Petaluma Historical Museum. It became the Petaluma Historical Museum in 1976.
Before 1976, it was a public library, and if you go inside, you can look through all the exhibits showing Petaluma's history.
The 60s was the first time that children born during the baby boomer generation began to become adolescent. They began to get jobs because they were easy to find and they paid well. For this reason, they had a lot more spending money, so companies began to design clothes and products specifically for teenagers. Regarding clothing, girls began to wear miniskirts and see-through tops. Their hair was also generally long and wild. Boys began to wear colorful clothing and denim. Girls wore denim, but it wasn't as prominent as in the 70s. Levi's was one of the first companies that produced denim to become popular in the 60s. A lot of teenagers spent their time at concerts or protests. Behind us is the Mutual Relief Building, and on its southern wall there is a classic restored Coca-Cola sign with a particularly Petaluma motif of a chicken and an egg. This building was built in 1876.
Neighboring this building is the Prince Building, which was once a pharmacy during the 60s.
During the 1950s, teenagers began to want their own style and began to express themselves much more than they had in previous years. They showed a lot of rebellion because there was a lack of discipline and there was a strong influence by rock and roll. Teenagers began to smoke because they didn't realize how harmful smoking was to them, and they spent their Saturday nights at local dances or having hangouts at diners and coffee bars. They also girls generally wore skirts, pants weren't very common, and this is when the poodle skirt became popular, and boys wore button-down shirts, sweaters, and nice pants. As previously mentioned in our teen life segment about the 50s, teenagers spent a lot of their free time at diners and movies. The McNear Building not only has a diner, but also a movie theater. This building was made by John A. McNear and his family. They contributed a lot of things to Petaluma, including the first electrical lights.
This building has two parts to it, the older building being made in 1886, which used to house the National Guard Armory, and the newer side being made in 1911, which then and now houses the Mystic Theater.